Hello, podcast listeners. Welcome to the Doctor's Corner, where we celebrate our veterans and encourage nationwide literacy. I am your host, Dr. K, and today is our 11th episode. I'm hoping by now you've subscribed to the Doctor's Corner and have found each literary journey valuable and interesting. Remember, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Doctor's Corner, and you can subscribe to the show on Spotify, Stitcher, Radio Public, iTunes, TuneIn, Libsyn, and of course, YouTube. Simply type in The Doctor's Corner with Dr. K, like, listen, and subscribe. If you feel like leaving us a note, please do so, and you can do this right on our blog at www.thedoctorscorner.home.blog. As you know, reading is still fundamental. However, the National Adult Literacy Survey reported there are over 44 million Americans who struggle with reading at the 8th grade reading level. Lower literacy skills mean a lower quality of life and more limited employment opportunities. So let me encourage you to read more and start with a page or two a day in something that interests you, because the benefits of reading are unlimited. Stress reduction, increased memory, knowledge, stronger analytical skills, improved focus, and concentration, just to name a few. On the Doctor's Corner, we provide comprehensive literature reviews in just 30 minutes, not based on the author, but the writing, the content, the navigation of the topic, the characters, the storyline, the research, and on the facts. With me today, I have educator and author, Dr. Samone Brown. We will discuss her book titled Beneath the Scar: Rise to Healing, published in 2018 by Samone Publishing, Cedar Hill, Texas. Before we begin, can you tell the TDC listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you for inviting me, Dr. K. I want to let everyone know that I am Dr. Samone Brown, and I am an author. I am a motivational speaker. I am a publisher, a movie producer, and most important, I am a survivor of domestic violence.
Wow. What event in your life inspired Beneath the Scar?
Beneath the Scar was birthed in my heart from an event that occurred in my life when I was in college. Actually, the book was written as a way for me to heal because I was a victim in college at the hands of one of my college boyfriends. And it was a very painful time. It was very much of an embarrassing time for me. And it took me 20 years to break my silence.
Wow. 20 years. So is that how long it took you to write Beneath the Scar?
Well, it took me 20 years before I even spoke to people about being abused in college. It took 26, 27 years before Beneath the Scar was written.
Okay. This particular book presented not only as a book, but also as a workbook for readers to document answers to key questions. Tell us, what is the purpose of this documentation or journaling in the book?
Well, if you look at research, a lot of it tells you that writing can be soothing to the soul. And the reason why I put the journal part in the book is so that people can be reflective of things that they've gone through as well, that may be similar to the things that I highlighted in the book, Beneath the Scar: Rise to Healing. I also added premises, which are just affirmations to give people a boost or some positives that they could take and think about and reflect upon also.
Right. Well, I know when I did read the book, I started jotting down numbers myself. So I commend you on that. What courageous move to write the book and to come out of silence. Hopefully listeners that experience the same would follow your lead on this one. The plot of the story takes place in Brandon, Mississippi. Is that right?
Actually, it does. The plot of the story for the movie takes place in Brandon, Mississippi, and also in the book. You're correct.
Okay. And is there any personal significance to why Mississippi? Why Brandon?
I tell you why. Brandon, Mississippi is so close to where I went to college. So I made the story in the setting of Brandon, Mississippi, because it was so close.
Okay. They say every book that's written has a little bit of truth in there somewhere.
Yes, it does. I tell people all the time, Beneath the Scar: Rise to Healing, it's about 35% of my own life, of experiences that happened to me while I was in that abuse situation with the former boyfriend. And there are about 10% of things in the book that happened to other people that I know, friends of mine, a couple of coworkers in the past, and they told me of their stories. When they found out I was writing Beneath the Scar: Rise to Healing, they said, "Can you share my story as well?" I said, "I'll do that." Some of the things that happened to them, for instance, I had a friend who was locked inside of a house
Mm-hmm.
and the person who had her locked in had a pit bull on the outside. I'm not saying the dogs are bad, but sometimes if people train them the wrong way, and
Mm-hmm.
she got out of the room for 2 days. I had another friend whose mother was in an abusive relationship, and they had to go into the witness protection program in fear of their lives. So this is so real, and people are experiencing it day to day. And so many people walk around in silence, and sometimes they don't know exactly what to do. And so my hope is that if my book will save just one life, if the movie Beneath the Scar will just save one life, my
Mm-hmm.
work has not been in vain. My purpose has not been in vain.
That's right. That's an awesome approach to take.
So the story, it is reflective of my life. It's a story about a young lady named Samantha Nicole Brown.
Mm-hmm.
She is the daughter of one of the most prominent families in Mississippi. She sent off to college and she finds herself in an abusive relationship. And it's ironically, we're talking about how you serve veterans on your show.
Mm-hmm.
This young lady just happens to be the daughter of a preacher, and her father's also a vet. He's a Vietnam vet, but for the movie, we made it more up to date, and her father is a veteran from the Gulf War.
Wow. So, without giving away too much detail in the book, can you share a little bit about your main character, which I think you just did, and how you think your main character may be relatable?
Well, I think that Samantha Nicole Brown is so relatable because how many of us have daughters? How many of us have sisters?
Mm-hmm.
How many of us have goddaughters? How many of us have just our best friends' children that we love? At the age that I am now, I have daughters myself. We have to be able to relate to them, and just imagine having your child in an abusive relationship and finding that out. I think her character relates to all of us. And even in the book, her life is intertwined with so many other people's lives, and abuse is touching them in other ways too. See, a lot of times people think abuse only happens to victims, that people are being hit or abused emotionally, financially, or abused some other way. But sometimes, if you really sit and think about it, people who are innocent bystanders are victims of abuse as well. The children in the family, you could be a coworker and your coworker tells you about situations that are happening to them. You can have a family member that's in a situation and you don't know quite what to do to help them out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You're a victim as well.
You're right. Based on Samantha, her status and personal goals, it seems she's everything going for her. Do you think that there are more confident women than not that fall into domestic situations like Samantha's?
I don't believe that it has any type of profile of person because we found that women who are six-figure earners
Mm-hmm.
are victims of abuse or survivors. Women who are in poverty or survivors. And so a lot of times people think that it's a fallacy that because you are in a middle class or upper middle class status economically, that you may not be abused. But the
Mm-hmm.
truth of the matter is, a lot of times women and men, let's not forget that men are victims as well sometimes, or survivors as well.
Sure.
They do a better job of hiding it and keeping other people from knowing about it.
Hmm. Great segue. You actually went right into my next question for you. What about males? Your book introduced a character named Jameson
Yeah,
and his secret partner, Malcolm. Was
yeah.
this an effort to identify that domestic violence can happen not just to women, but to men as well?
Yes, I did want to make people understand that it happens in same sex situations and situations where they're non-traditional relationships. You know, everyone has their feeling about different things, but the premise that I want everyone to know is regardless of a person's background, whether they are male or female, regardless of their ethnic background, regardless of their social economic status or their sexual orientation, no one deserves to be a victim. No one deserves to be in that situation. I don't care who it is. That's why I developed a character of Jameson. And so I want everyone to be able to have support regardless of their background.
Wow. Well, you're doing a courageous thing, and I thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart because this is a very sensitive subject, and you approached it eloquently.
Thank you.
You have a unique twist that actually closes out your book. Without revealing that twist, what would you have had Samantha's happy ending to be?
Well, I can't reveal it. I can tell you this.
Mhm.
It is a threefold ending.
Sure.
Just like abuse, endings are different. Sometimes things go well,
Mhm.
sometimes things don't go so well. So I purposely put a threefold ending in it. I would think the best ending for Samantha is that she gets out of the relationship that she was in and she finds herself first and she finds a healthy relationship the next time that she has one. That's the ideal situation.
So Beneath the Scar, Rise to Healing, you mentioned that it's a movie. What percentage of the movie and the book is similar?
Oh my, most of the book and movie is pretty similar. It's just like any book, you're going to miss some things in the movie that you got out of the book, more of the background information. But I would say about 70% of the movie is based on the book. But let me tell you this too. Even though the book has a threefold ending, director Cindy Reed Wolves and I decided to make the movie end a different way from the book. So you have to see the book.
Really?
And you have to go to the movie.
So the movie doesn't have any one of the three endings?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, jeez.
On that note, listeners, we'll take a brief commercial break and we'll be right back with Dr. Samone Brown, author of Beneath the Scar, Rise to Healing.
Hey, there's a new podcast out. Have you heard? It's called Cafe Conversations, and it's not your typical everyday podcast either. It's a variety podcast, and it covers a variety of different topics and stories that impact the lives of everyday people just like you and me. I'm Lady D, the host of Cafe Conversations, and I'm inviting you to join the conversations inside the cafe. Catch us on Anchor.fm, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and make sure you like, subscribe, and share. You'll be uplifted, inspired, and intrigued right here inside Cafe Conversations.
And welcome back, TDC listeners, to the interview and conversation with Dr. Samone Brown, author of Beneath the Scar, Rise to Healing. So, Dr. Brown,
was it difficult for you to see the movie unfold? You've written the book. Did you see yourself in the individual that played the main character?
Oh my goodness, so many times. And it was so surreal. The character's name is Samantha Nicole Brown. And ironically, the young lady that had the starring role in the movie, her name is Nicole as well. And we said, what are the chances
Wow.
that her name is Nicole, just like in the book? And it's so amazing. When she got on the set, I looked at her and she would do some of the same things that I did, just even the way that she would breathe. And I said, I can't believe this is happening. This young lady, she has my mannerisms. Not only that, it was just truly amazing to see some of the scenes, because we have one particular scene where there's a young lady that there's a situation about human trafficking. I touched that in the book as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the morning I was writing that part of the book. And as I watched it on the screen after everything was complete, I was just in awe to know every word that she was about to say. I remembered the day that I penned that. And it was just so riveting for me that this really happens to people.
Like
Yes.
I said, I attribute what you're doing to being courageous.
Yes. And some of the scenes, Dr. K, there's one particular scene that Samantha Nicole Brown was in that still is hard for me to watch because it's the factual scene. It's not a movie that's difficult for the audience to see. Even young people it's PG-13, but because I lived it, or anyone who lived it, they're going to be touched. And anyone who's identified with it, they will be touched also.
Right.
If anyone had a loved one involved with this, you just can't help be impacted. It hits closer to home when you've had to deal with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, here's a tough one for you. You ready?
Yes.
All right. In your acknowledgments, because I read the book from cover to cover, and I am looking forward.
You did.
I'm looking forward to seeing the movie, and I'll ask you more about that shortly.
Okay.
But in your acknowledgments, you reveal that you're a mom of two beautiful girls, Deshae and Joelle. Is that right?
Yes.
And like Samantha's father, a renowned pastor, I'm sure he would have done everything he could, especially mentioning that he was a veteran, to prevent his baby girl from experiencing the ills of domestic violence, but he wasn't successful. So how do you prevent and save your daughters from instances, possibilities, happenings like this?
Well, I tell you, it starts with, if you've ever been a victim, male or female, share that with your children and let them know what you've gone through. It took me years before my children are young, but when they got to the age that they were when I wrote the book just a few years ago was the perfect age to share it with them. Just letting them know about my experiences and not wanting them to be caught up in the same type of situation. And so I just think that just being open and being transparent about it is one of the best ways, and letting them know, and sometimes even having them to go and do support or causes outside of the home where they may be exposed. For instance, we have a lot of nonprofit organizations. We have a lot of homes that support children and women or families who are victims of abuse. Letting them do some community service work, that's one way that children can see that this really happens. You don't want to expose everything, but then you have to be transparent because it is a reality. We can't shield them from everything, but we have to just do it with kids' gloves. But they really need to know and know how much you love them and you care for them, and let them know it doesn't matter what happens, what situation they're caught up in, they can always call home.
That's right.
And you will always be there for them. And I knew that, but it is almost one of those things, just like with situations where people are molested and the abuser tells them, if you tell, I'll kill this person, I'll do that. Let your child know that they can trust in you and know that you're going to do what's right and what's best for them.
Very nice. So you mentioned premises earlier, but I have a question specifically for the premises that you have between each chapter. You have them sectioned off like preludes to each chapter. So how did you come up with these premises, and what exactly do they mean to you?
Well, the premises, as I did say about journaling and writing, I just thought about things that happened to me. For instance, one of the very first premise talks about how life experiences, the good and the bad, they shape who we are. But how we frame these experiences is what makes life a precious treasure. So I just thought about different things that happened to me, and how can I take something that was negative, and now that I'm a survivor, how can I make it positive for myself, and how can I make it positive for others? And just as simple as seek out positive, supportive relationships. And you're a child of God, and you deserve to be treated as such. And those are the types of premises that I have. And one of my favorite ones is find the strength and love within yourself. No one person can make you strong or love you more than you.
That's
you
right.
Take your own journey to find these gifts and embrace them. So I was speaking to myself. And a lot of times when you speak to yourself and you put things out that are positive and purposeful, it will serve the purpose for others as well.
Okay. Very nice. And are you still writing or working on another book, or?
I tell you what, right now we're doing a tour for the movie, but I do have 3 books on my desk right now. The amazing thing is I've been publishing other people. I've published the guy from the Carter High movie, Patrick Williams' book, From a Letter Man to a Better Man. I published Flamingo, that she talks about overcoming a major illness and abuse. We have some fresh off the press. Her book is about to be published within the next month or 2, and that is Elizabeth Savage. And she has a book called No Trespassing. And she talks about her life as a victim of abuse and how she lost 3 of her 4 children in a tragic situation. It's amazing how the clients that are coming to me, they're writing their books of resilience. So as a publisher, I'm seeing so many resilient stories coming forth. Those are just a few to name.
And with this particular podcast focusing on acknowledging veterans and literacy, if we can get people to read more, we can educate them on not just this topic, but a variety of topics.
And I have such a respect for veterans. My brother served in the Gulf War. My stepfather served in Vietnam, and my grandfather, who just passed a few years ago, served in World War II.
Thank you. Thank you so much for supporting us. Tell the listeners where they can find your book. Please tell them where we can watch or see this next movie, because I need to see what happened at the end.
Okay. Well, I tell you what's going on now. As far as finding the book, you can find the book on my website. It's drsamonebrown.com. That's DrSamone. It's spelled like Sam 1. drsamonebrown.com. You can order a book there. You can order a copy from Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and it's sold worldwide. So if you just type in Beneath the Scar, Rise to Healing by Dr. Samone Brown, Samone, you will find the book. It's sold all over the world. And your second question, I wanted to make sure,
where can we find the movie premiere?
Oh, the movie. I tell you what's happening right now. The movie premiered. We had a premiere here in the Dallas area. We sold out a week before. And also we're having a premiere in Little Rock, Arkansas. And we plan to take it to Spartanburg, South Carolina, where our director, Cindy Reed Will, she is a native of South Carolina. I am a native of Arkansas. So as soon as it comes out of all the film festivals in about 6 more months, we're looking at which direction we're going to go with the film. So we're quite sure it's going to be on Netflix or one of the channels like that. So, but I know the city of DeSoto, for anyone who lives in the Texas area, or DeSoto area, they're going to do a screening for the entire city of DeSoto, the Domestic Violence Commission of DeSoto, and they will have that showing on October the 20th. In DeSoto, Texas. They have it on the Domestic Violence Commission website, information about that. And they are doing a citywide book study as we speak.
Well, I will definitely be there.
Yes. And I want to also say that we are doing private screenings for nonprofit organizations or any organization that would like to have more information or to have their organization to support domestic violence. I do go around the country and I speak to different entities such as universities, any entity who wants to support the cause of domestic violence. And we do private screenings as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Dr. Brown, it's an absolute honor to have you on the show. And I thank you so much for being courageous, brave, resilient, speaking out about a topic that is oftentimes withheld and kept secret. Thank you for just being brave and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Dr. K.
You're very welcome.
Thank you to the listeners.
In closing, listeners, I'd like to thank you for listening in today. But before I go, I would like to share some final thoughts. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, intimate partner violence describes physical, sexual, or psychological harm by a current or former partner or spouse. Intimate partner violence can occur among heterosexual or same-sex couples and does not require sexual intimacy. Some studies find that domestic violence is at least as frequent and likely can more so be between same-sex couples. This is according to Shields and Carroll as recent as 2015. You can find this fact in the Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy. Between 2003 and 2012, the FBI reported 34% of all women who were murdered were killed by a male intimate partner. Oh, listeners, and we cannot forget about stalking. Stalking is often included among types of intimate partner violence. Stalking generally refers to harassing or threatening behavior that an individual engages in repeatedly, such as sending the victim unwanted presents, following or laying in wait for a victim, damaging or threatening to damage the victim's property, appearing at a victim's home or place of business, defaming the victim's character or spreading rumors, or simply harassing the victim via the internet by posting personal information. Although Beneath the Scar portrayed a young woman being physically, emotionally, and mentally abused, domestic violence can happen with men too. The Mayo Clinic published an article titled, Domestic Violence Against Men, Know the Signs. To read this article, visit www.mayoclinic.org. Remember, in an emergency, victims of domestic violence should call 911. For more information on domestic violence and abuse, please visit www.nij.gov or call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE or visit www.thehotline.org. Touchy topic today, but thank you, listeners. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Doctor's Corner. And remember, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Doctor's Corner. And you can subscribe to the show on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Radio Public, Libsyn, iTunes, and of course, YouTube. Simply type in The Doctor's Corner with Dr. K. Be sure to listen, like, and subscribe.